Urgent Dirty Birds fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest Dirty Birds news. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Should Atlanta consider bringing back former Falcon Desmond Ridder? After Michael Penix Jr., what Atlanta's quarterback room will look like in the 2025 season remains a mystery. It appears we will soon find out how serious the team is about retaining Kirk Cousins in a backup role. Are the Falcons simply posturing, or will they force Cousins to hold a clipboard? If they don't want the distraction of Cousins around the team, they're going to have extremely limited options to sign behind Penix. The quarterback market is quickly drying up, leaving the Falcons looking to the draft or extremely underwhelming. Options. One fit could be former Atlanta starter Desmond Ridder. The Raiders moved on from the former Falcon starter after a failed 2024 season. While the quarterback isn't an ideal backup, the team could find themselves without another choice. If they move off Kirk Cousins, if Cousins is retained, there isn't a path for Ridder to be on the roster. The Falcons would be wiser to use their third quarterback role for a developing player or a short yardage weapon. A reunion with Desmond Ridder makes sense only if Atlanta has no other options. It is important to note that any consideration of Ridder isn't based on the fit or a hope of future development, but a complete lack of other options. While the team currently has better fits in free agency, it is doubtful they will remain on the market throughout the summer. It appears Atlanta is going to keep Kirk Cousins at least deep into the offseason. Superior options to Ridder Atlanta, should hope remain on the market, include Teddy Bridgewater, Carson Wentz, and Tyler Huntley. After this trio, we begin to look at Jeff Driscoll, C.J. Beathard, and players who are in the same class as Ridder. Struggling quarterbacks, you hope, are never on the field for your team. As frustrating as Ridder's tenure in Atlanta was, it is worth noting that the quarterback took his failures on the chin. Whether it was a mind-numbingly bad interception or a missed play, Ridder would stand at the podium and say all of the right things. While this doesn't change the fact that Ridder's ceiling is as a third option, it does prove the quarterback could be brought back in an emergency role if Atlanta has no other choice. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Dirty Birds news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks, now let's get back to the news. Falcons trade proposal adds Dolphins $21 million CB despite limited draft capital. The Miami Dolphins and general manager Chris Grier made a decision Tuesday that could soon result in cornerback Jalen Ramsey being traded from the team. The Atlanta Falcons would likely love to be considered a trade partner. That interest stems largely from the relationship between Falcons head coach Raheem Morris and Ramsey, dating back to their time together with the Los Angeles Rams. Ramsey even publicly praised Atlanta's hiring of Morris back in January 2024. Falcons got one of, if not the best coach in the NFL, Ramsey said. For real. Even if Atlanta isn't in the most favorable position to make a splashy offer, Premi Sports proposed a trade scenario that could make a potential deal more intriguing. Falcons receive Jalen Ramsey, 2025, 7th-round pick. Dolphins receive 2025, 4th-round pick, 2026, 5th-round pick. Follow the sporting news on WhatsApp with Miami exploring trade options for All-Pro CB Jalen Ramsey. The Falcons should be making calls. Ramsey fills a major void across from A.J. Terrell Jr., and with the 2025 draft class thin at corner, landing a proven veteran makes strategic sense. Ramsey gives Atlanta a true CB1 veteran leadership and allows them to shift focus with the 15 pick, whether that means trading down or grabbing an edge rusher like Michael Williams. This deal mirrors what the Dolphins gave up for Ramsey in 2023. A post-June 1st trade saves them $92.1 in 2025 while spreading the dead cap across 2 years. Ramsey's $21.1 cap hit for 2025 is steep but manageable for a Falcons team that's been aggressive this offseason. His current deal runs through 2028, giving Atlanta control and consistency at a premium position. For the Falcons, this is a calculated winnow move. Their defense ranked near the bottom in sacks and coverage last season, and Ramsey immediately raises the floor and ceiling. If Atlanta wants to get serious about competing, this is the type of swing they need to take. Ramsey's $21.1 million cap hit is the biggest obstacle for the Falcons. As it stands, Atlanta has just under $10 million in cap space, according to Over the Cap. However, roughly $8 million of that will be allocated to their first-round pick. That means the Falcons would need to restructure contracts and/or make roster cuts to absorb Ramsey's salary. Draft capital is another issue. The Falcons currently have just 5 picks in the 2025 NFL Draft, including only 3 selections in the first 4 rounds. The other 2 come in the 7th round. If they were to part with their 4th-round pick in a potential deal and only gain an additional 7th rounder in return, their already thin draft stock would take another hit. While the idea of reuniting Ramsey with Morris is tempting from a football perspective, the financial and logistical hurdles make it a complicated pursuit unless Atlanta is willing to get creative. Aaron Rodgers helping Atlanta keep Kirk Cousins' trade hopes alive? If there is one person working harder to create a trade than the Atlanta front office, it is veteran free agent quarterback Aaron Rodgers. The veteran took time this last week for his usual sit-down with ESPN and Pat McAfee and made a number of interesting comments. Among the headlines created was Rodgers offering the story of how the Jets opted to tell the veteran they were moving. What should have been a wake-up call for an aging player was instead taken offense to and used weeks later to air grievances with an organization that appeared to give Rodgers everything the veteran had asked for, furthering the head-scratching. Commentary was Rodgers' thoughts on his future. We are days away from the 2025 NFL Draft, and the quarterback still doesn't know his future. The veteran continues to hold the Steelers hostage, who just might find themselves stuck with Mason Rudolph. If that is the case, it is very much on the board that a desperation trade for Kirk Cousins could happen. Aaron Rodgers is helping Kirk's trade chances in what continues to be a frustrating arc. The Steelers actually want to sign up for the sideshow that Rodgers has become, speaks to how desperate the franchise is. It is perhaps also telling of just how little trade value Cousins currently has. Still, if there is any player who could make Cousins look like an attractive starting option, it is Rodgers. If the veteran retires or the deal with Pittsburgh falls through, Atlanta could find themselves finally presented with a deal for their veteran quarterback. Rodgers spent the last 2 seasons with New York after a bad ending in Green Bay. It has been 3 years since we've seen the quarterback consistently play at a high level. This serves as yet another reminder of what an outlier Tom Brady was. The veteran was older than Rodgers when he won his final Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. It has broken many pundits' brains into believing this is what an aging quarterback is supposed to look like. In truth, Rodgers' late career failures are to be expected, even from the greatest. Rarely do you get to see a legend write a happy ending. It is a small piece of why John Elway, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady are remembered so fondly. Rarer are top athletes who are still able to recognize where they are in their careers and accept lesser roles. This is where Rodgers finds himself, and the lack of self-awareness continues to make the quarterback an unattractive target, and perhaps, in the process, aid Atlanta's hopes of shedding Kirk Cousins. Why Atlanta remains a speculated landing spot for Jalen Ramsey. The Atlanta Falcons being among the speculated landing spots for corner, Jalen Ramsey doesn't come as a surprise. Aside from the obvious ties to head coach Raheem Morris, Atlanta badly needs help in the secondary. Putting Ramsey alongside A.J. Terrell fixes the bulk of the team's secondary concerns and allows you to focus Thursday's draft efforts completely on rebuilding a failing pass rush. As Ramsey ages, there is a level of concern with a contract that runs through 2028, however. Atlanta's defense being so devoid of talent makes it a worthwhile risk. The reason the Falcons are going to be such a heavily speculated landing spot is based on the mutual admiration between Ramsey and head coach Raheem Morris. The Atlanta coach spent time with Ramsey during the team's run to the Super Bowl 3 years ago. Jalen Ramsey is an expensive but ideal fix for Atlanta's remaining secondary concerns. When considering this, it makes a level of sense for the Falcons to be interested in the corner. Yes, the team resigned Mike Hughes and D. Alford, but neither player is blocking a player as talented as Ramsey. The biggest concern with the potential deal is the simple fact it doesn't fit Atlanta's offseason efforts. Everything we've seen from Atlanta in the 2025 offseason suggests a team that is taking a step back. Whether or not this is how Atlanta views it can be debated. What can't is the fact they aren't making moves to win. Quiet in free agency, the Falcons allowed key players to leave and didn't bring in any notable additions aside from veteran pass rusher Leonard Floyd. It appears the Falcons are content to spend this season finding out how far Michael Penix Jr. can take them. After spending on Kirk Cousins, this makes a level of sense as the team has now reset their timeline of contention. With the second-year quarterback, there will be plenty of time to push your chips to the center of the table. This is the lone roadblock to Morris reuniting with the highly paid Miami corner. Cowboys' disrespect of Micah Parsons could become Atlanta's opportunity. Atlanta had a chance 4 years ago to make edge rusher Micah Parsons a Falcon. Ignoring both Parsons and star receiver Jamar Chase, the Falcons opted to select tight end Kyle Pitts. This has played out in frustrating fashion after a great rookie season. 3 years of frustrations have left Atlanta fans wondering what might have been if the franchise had made a better choice on draft night. There is reason to wonder if perhaps the Falcons will be given a chance at reversing this mistake if Parsons does hit the trade market. Already, Dallas has shown they care more about quarterback Dak Prescott and receiver CeeDee Lamb than their star defender. While this is understandable in some ways, it could be an obvious frustration for Parsons. If this didn't bother Parsons, what Dallas owner Jerry Jones said about Micah's agent unquestionably did. These comments breathed new life into the hope that Parsons could be on this move in the 2025 offseason. As Dallas falls behind the NFC East, a Micah Parsons trade makes increasing sense. The Cowboys are clearly far behind their division rivals in Philly and appear to be less talented than Dan Quinn's Washington Commanders. The team hasn't spent during the offseason and isn't making an effort to close the gap. You're already paying Lamb and Prescott top dollar. There is reason to wonder if the franchise is considering a reset after years of frustration. If that does prove to be the case, the Falcons would be the perfect landing spot for Parsons. The franchise has been allergic to drafting talent at the position and has the future cap space to get a deal done. The only downside of the move is paying top dollar for a defensive piece with contracts for Drake London and Bijan Robinson both looming. This is also working under the huge assumption not only that Dallas decides to trade their best player, but Atlanta would win the bidding war Parsons demands. Still, as unlikely as the move might be, it is a dream fit for a team who has done very little of note in the first weeks of the 2025 offseason. And now, Dirty Birds. Fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Dirty Birds. I'll be back any moment with more Dirty Birds news. ATL, rise up.